the little economics I know is that the savings function is a small component of the income function. Would you want to clarify to this parliament that indeed you will capitalize UDB without savings? And you think now that how the problem we are in, you can rethink of returning that bill to the House and liberalize Social Security to mobilize more savings? That Honourable Speaker, the Minister knows that NSSF has mobilized the biggest savings in this country, and therefore most of the banks actually are thriving on money from NSSF. Do you think at this stage you can advise government to rethink that bill, return it, we mobilize more savings through Social Security, and bring down interest rates like it was done in Kenya and other jurisdictions, other than telling the House that capitalizing UDB will bring down interest rates?
And Honorable Minister, the issue of capitalizing UDB, first of all, you need to understand the clients that UDB handles. That is on high development financing, which is outside the local traders that we are talking about in Chikubo here. And I also want you to interest yourself on the recovery rate of UDB. Understand which clients are in UDB. I want you to understand them. Because when I was in Kosase, we looked at a report of UDB. These people were not paying. And who are they? They are...
Madam Speaker, on the issue of mobilizing savings as a means of reducing the interest rate, it is true when we increase our national savings, we increase the liquidity within the market, and therefore a lot of liquidity can lead towards reduction in interest rate. I'm not quite sure about liberalizing the NSSF because we had that debate, national security, we had that debate, and you know how it ended. But what I know is that if we are going to reduce the interest rate, we need to offer alternative to commercial banks. And the only alternative I know is to have a development bank, a cooperative bank that we are now proposing, a microfinance support center, and plug the gaps within the Uganda Development Bank. For example, we want now to propose that we can reinvest some money under UDB, specifically to target small and medium enterprises at a capped interest rate near to the PDM. So the option I have now, is really to look at Uganda Development Bank as a bank that we can control. Any other means might remain academic theory.
Actually, for you to talk about the UDB is more of academic than realistic. You'd rather think about a bank that will look at a smallest business person. If you looked at a bank that operates like the way Centenary Bank operates, there you'd be speaking.
Madam Speaker, that's why we are now proposing a cooperative bank, the revival of a cooperative bank. And we hope that that will probably go deeper to the cooperatives in the country. I thank you.
Honorable Minister of Finance.
Just to add that the interest rates that we are talking about, yes, it is a function of how much savings that we have, and therefore we needed to enhance our efforts in mobilizing savings. And indeed, this House amended the NSSF Act to ensure that even people below the threshold of 5 employees, people in that category, the informal sector, can now voluntarily contribute to NSSF. And they are now tapping into that opportunity, and we have recently seen a rise in terms of savings on that front. But additionally, we have the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. In other words, we have a regulator that can actually license more retirement benefit schemes, including we have a parliamentary scheme and a couple of other. I don't know why Honorable was laughing. Because they have raised an issue. Anyway, let me go.
Can you finalize?
Let me finalize, Right Honorable, with the issue of the 35% tax on garments and fabric, etc. One of the issues that I included in the statement and which has been discussed here. In introducing this tax of $3.5 per kilo, we are trying to implement one policy.
Honorable Minister, how do you determine, for instance, you've been talking about the high interest rate.
Sorry?
How do you determine the high interest rates charged to these traders? How do you determine the interest rate under Tier 4, which is not regulated by the central bank?
Well, by and large, the interest rates, apart from those under the Tier 4, the mobile, I mean, these money lenders, etc., because those are difficult, but by and large, interest rates are market driven. Now, can I complete this statement?
Do you know why I stopped money lenders from coming to Parliament here? You can't say market driven. When somebody is going to charge you 30%, 30%, we should have a regulation that should be able to manage that interest rate other than making people suffer.
Right, Honorable, we admit that the regulator has to do his job, and Honorable Kasolo is here in that particular area. I think he will give more information. But talking about general on interest rates, you know that the private sector and the government borrow from the same source. We borrow from the same resource, the same savings. And more than...
Honorable?
I was giving the economic argument. Right, Honorable, allow me complete this statement so that whoever reads the answer,
you finish the economic argument.
Yeah, the economic argument is that the government and the private sector are borrowing from the same source. Now, we as government, each time we talk about domestic borrowing, we actually going to that source. And therefore, we end up taking away the limited savings that are available, leaving a vacuum, for the private investors. So that's what creates these high interest rates, that we are competing with the private sector. So largely that is the economic argument. But on the other one, it's the issue of regulation, the one of money lenders. Yes, so...
We need a regulation.
Yes, once we have the regulations, then I think that problem will be dealt with.
We need a regulation on money lenders.
Right, Honorable, I should be allowed to talk about the garments, because this problem has been severally raised. And it's one of the main reasons why some of the shops, especially people in the textile industry, are on strike. Right, Honorable, we have been struggling to get a balance between importing finished goods versus manufacturing these same products locally. And our policy has been to impose higher taxes in order to create an opportunity for production in the local economy. And indeed, this is why we have been promoting these integrated textile mills that utilize our cotton to produce fabric, which fabric would want the local producers, like the tailors, to utilize. So we want to move the economy into the area of value addition, to the extent that we minimize imports into this economy, because we require dollars to import these goods. you already know that our imports far exceed what we are capable of exporting. And this creates a very big problem in Bank of Uganda, especially in terms of our reserves. When we get to debt servicing, the foreign exchange is very limited. And we have a problem there because the importers are taking away this foreign exchange. So we really need to promote production, minimize imports, and maximize exports. It's a strategy. But in doing so, it creates certain challenges. And the challenge is to render some people unemployed. And it's not something that happens overnight. But it's a matter that I think has come under consideration, and I'm very sure that His Excellency the President should be able to guide on this matter. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Ugorobi, for accepting and being courteous enough. Now, I want us to be logical. No, I'm only being fair to you and honest. I'll not debate you, but I'll start with you. The tie you're wearing, the shirt you're wearing, the suit you're wearing. Our role and aim is try to move to buy Uganda, build Uganda. Assuming you are to walk the talk, tell me which one of those materials other than the shirt you're wearing that would be able to produce. Your suit is probably a mixture of potentially nylon and silk. And how much silk can we produce on this market in order to tax those ones higher? For me, it's being fair. If we can have it on cotton, which we can produce, then you can increase the tax on cotton. But spandex, jean, such materials that you have no capacity to produce, wool, really wool, what level of sheep production, sheep, because wool is from sheep. For sure.
Honorable Nserapo.
Yes, right.
We are going to have a debate on this when the other report comes. So for now, can we have the next item? So before the old man goes away, we need the Minister of Minister Muruli.
Item 6, Bill second reading, the National Forestry and Trip.
Honorable members, whoever is outside, can we have you in? The bill second reading. Honorable members, you recall that yesterday the motion for the second reading of the National Forest and Tree Planting Amendment Bill 2024 was moved. The committee report was presented. The motion was extensively debated upon. We, however, stood over the final decision on the bill to today.